What is up, everybody? It is now coming to the end of 2026, and I figured it would be fun to do some predictions for 2026. And so we've got 8, the bubble, the crash, and what comes next. These are all my opinions. Again, I'm Mark from Pulse AI Solutions. I'm giving you 8 bold predictions for AI in 2026, including one that says the bubble bursts in Q2. So let's get right into it. So a couple things for 2026, the year of reckoning. So 500 billion going to AI infrastructure this past year, and only $12 billion have been actually made. That is a big difference. That is a huge number. 95% of companies getting zero returns on AI investments. I think that's a little bit overhyped. Actually, I think that there's still, a lot of companies aren't even integrating AI yet. Really, their users are using it, but the companies aren't. I think in 2026, companies will start using it, and they will get a better return on investment on AI in this year, and they'll start to see some positive gains. But consumer confidence has been at recession warning levels for 10 straight months. So something has to give, because these numbers just don't add up. Everybody's looking at it, and I think something is going to happen. So prediction number 1, let's go right into it, is OpenAI. No IPO. That's right. Everyone expects $1 trillion IPO. I say no. I think OpenAI is basically the MySpace of this space. Thanks for kicking things off, but you're not going to be the king and you're not going to be around. They're just doing too many things. You're starting to see the Facebook effect, a llama effect to OpenAI, where they're coming out with new models. This last model was basically like tweaking the weights and being like, hey, we just upgraded it. Meanwhile, people aren't even using it. I'll even say too, my daughter has, this is talking about college age students. She switched and is using Claude and thinks Claude is better. So my take, $14 billion losses in 2026, no profit expected until 2028 to 2030. They need $207 billion just to operate through 2030. And that's not all the other things going on. I think that the numbers aren't there. They don't want to go IPO, but all that private money has dried up, and it's this kind of circular thing. My plot twist is that I think Apple acquires OpenAI in 2027. They're going to go through their thing. They'll be very stagnant. They'll start to decline. Their numbers will decline. And then I think people will start jumping ship. And then Apple can come in and sweep them up. They can acquire them in 2027. Apple has $160 billion in cash, needs AI. Sam wants the hardware. They do the valuation. Then the valuation crashes. Apple swoops in and picks them up, as I think they should, because they need to get back in the game. They do have, this would help Apple tremendously to get OpenAI, but I just don't think OpenAI is going to go public. I've read a lot of books about Sam Altman and the whole trajectory of AI and how it came to be. And all these superstar people from OpenAI left. That tells you all you need to know. And the board fired him. And then you were like, well, why? Basically, according to the books that I read, and they were 2 separate books, and they weren't all about Sam Altman. They were just talking about OpenAI. They were talking about the AI race. He's a big liar. He's a big lie face, allegedly, from these books that I read. And so, and that's why all these people left OpenAI, was because he would lie to them. And I think he lies to other players as well. And I think that basically comes home to roost this year, is that his lies aren't adding up, because again, they're like, we need more money. And then all of a sudden one month, he's like Elon Musk. He's like, one month it's like, whatever billion. And then a month later, it's like, oh, it's going to make this much billion. It's like, whoa, you said this last month. Now you're saying this. And it's just to prop up the valuation and to get other people's money in there. And I just don't like the Disney thing. If I was Disney, I wouldn't have done that. I would have went with Microsoft, or I'm sorry, with Google. And I think that they thought it was play, but he's dealing with an old dude that doesn't get it. So I wouldn't touch OpenAI with a 10-foot pole. And I think there's no IPO. And then my super prediction is that Apple acquires them. Yeah, that's how fast this thing is going to shoot up fast, and things are going to drop real fast. So that's prediction number 1, OpenAI with no IPO. Number 2 prediction, sure to maybe happen or might not be happening is the new leaderboard. Anthropic now has 32% of the enterprise share market plus Claude Code. So I think Anthropic is doing fine what they're supposed to be doing. They're finding their niche and they're hanging out there where OpenAI tries to be all things to everybody. I think Google is the clear winner. I've said before the signal, even my daughter switched from ChatGPT to Claude. OpenAI dropped to 25%, was 50% in 2023. In coding, of course, Anthropic is 42%, OpenAI just 21%. So in the ranking, I got Google first, Anthropic second, OpenAI is third, but I think Grok and Elon Musk, you can't count him out. I think they will be in the mix when it comes to stuff. And ChatGPT moment becomes the AOL moment where, they were the king and then they just kind of drift off and Apple acquires them. So I think Anthropic, I've liked their models for years. I think they have, no one's leaving that company. Google is just a superpower. And it's no surprise that Google was kind of slow to the game, but they were the ones that were writing all the documentation that OpenAI used to do their models. So they were the originators of it. OpenAI took their documents and basically brought them to life because Google didn't want to lose their search thing, but they basically cracked open the door, and it didn't take long for Google to kind of switch and realize that, yes, search is dead and, we need to go all in. And then now you're seeing all these great products, VO3, a notebook LM. And so Google will be the number one. And I think, Grok, you can't count Elon Musk out with all of his companies and whatever. I think and he's investing a lot of money too. So I think he'll be in there in that mix as well. And that is my prediction number 2. Number 3 is agent reality check. The hype crashes into reality. So Gartner says 40% of apps will have agents by the end of 2026. No, my prediction is maybe 15 to 20%. Only 21% of companies have an org-wide AI adoption. So they're not even adopting AI. How do you expect agents? And I hear these guys on podcasts and stuff. Well, there's going to be 1 billion agents doing 1 billion things. Okay, tell me one thing that an agent is going to do. I build agents. We have agents under Pulse AI Solutions. I've built them. They're not that great, and they're not like this, you're going to replace people tomorrow hype. It's just totally hype. There was nothing before. It was all workflows, basically, that people were calling agents, and now we're actually seeing like Microsoft has, their Foundry, which now is like, that's to me is like a real agent building platform. None of this like Zapier workflow stuff and people saying, oh, it's an agent. No, it's not. It's not an agent. That's a workflow. There's a difference. And that was the hype of this year. And that's going to continue. Not saying that AI agents are going to go away or they're not a real thing. They are a real thing, but way behind the curve on that stuff. And so I would say 1%. CEO or executives say that 1% of their rollouts are mature. Agents are coming. They'll get better, but billions of agents doing work in 2026, that is a complete joke and not possible at all. They will get better, but I'm telling you, as somebody that can build them, and even still, like people are like, there's going to be billions of agents and they're going to do all sorts of stuff. Okay, give me an example of a career and tell me all the agents that you're going that person's going to replace them. Like it's just not working. It's not working for me. Next up, prediction number 4 is the bubble. So this is my biggest call. 3 forces colliding at once: investment revenue gap, accelerated job losses, and collapsing consumer sentiment. The trigger Q1 2026 earning calls. So I think that there'll be a correction in Q2 2026. There's just this stuff doesn't make sense. And I think what's going to happen is, look at Berkshire Hathaway in the fall has started moving everything to cash, and people were like, huh, but they're still doing their thing. And I think it's the dumb money. It's the retail market, or dumb money. That's how Wall Street refers to you. You are dumb money. That's how they refer to you. You guys are still in. I think you're going to see in Q1, they were already kind of moving their money out. They're going to move more of it out in Q1. And then between job losses accelerating, the government's not really telling us right numbers, but you're starting to, there's other ways to get the numbers, the whole investment revenue. It's like, when is it, you're going to make $2 trillion of OpenAI? I don't think so. And I think, and a lot of these companies, and one of the biggest things that kind of jumped out to me when it comes to this correction was the whole acquisition of Paramount and the HBO Max and Netflix thing. So the reason why the Paramount people turned down, or the HBO people, Warner Brothers, turned down Paramount, was because it was all fake money from Oracle. So they know something. They didn't want the money because they were like, this is fake money. This isn't real money. And then that's why the head of Oracle, I forget his name right now off the top of my head, but then he comes in and says, no, I'll give you $40 billion of real cash. Like, think about that. Because all of this stuff that's going on with all of these companies, it's all just fake numbers that aren't real numbers. And eventually that's going to burst. And I think you'll see a 20 to 30% correction. I think NVIDIA goes down. They'll all go down. And they'll still, it's not going to be the end of the world, but I mean, you're going to see a big correction, and that's when the bubble bursts, I think, in Q2 2026. Because it's just none of this stuff makes any sense. And now people are starting to look at the numbers. And I really feel it's retail investors are propping those 7 companies up. But once the investment class, Wall Street, begins to take their cash and put it on the sidelines, I think then the retail investor can't keep the market up any longer. And that will happen in Q2 2026. That's prediction number 4. Number 5 on the list is the investment revenue gap. So $500 billion. Goldman projects $527 to $700 billion in AI capex in 2026. Consumer AI spending is only $12 billion. 95% of companies are not getting the return. So if you understand the difference between Singapore and Somalia, you get the gap between AI vision versus reality. So there you go. That is analyst Paul Kedrowski. That's all you need to know. So if you grok the economic difference between Singapore and Somalia, you get a sense of the chasm between vision and reality in AI land. So $500 billion in, almost nothing out. That's just not sustainable. So I think that's going to be factor 1 in the slide when it comes to the bubble. Again, the second part is the accelerated job loss. I think that's going to continue. That's going to get worse. 1.2 million announced layoffs in 2025, a 54% increase. Net job loss projected for 2026 is 500,000. I think it's going to be more than that. Of course, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei warned of a potential white-collar bloodbath. I think that's part of what's going to happen. The guy building the AI is warning you. I think you should be paying attention. So I think 20% of large companies will cut half of their middle management. I think the first 5 months of 2025, there were 696,000 jobs cut, announced an 80% jump. I think you're going to get more job losses in the coming year. And the collapsing consumer sentiment will be the next piece, and that's what's going to be the trigger for all of this collapse. So consumer confidence below 80 for 10 straight months. That's the recession threshold. 51% expect prices to get worse. I mean, we're not moving in the right direction. We're almost 3 times the baseline risk. Moody says 42% chance of recession. Normal is 15%. Nothing is trending in the right direction, so it's just going to get worse. The trigger, of course, will be the Q1 2026 earning calls. We talked about that. Hyperscalers report Q1 earnings in April and May of 2026, and it's just not going to look good. So, so that's what's going to basically, when it goes to my prediction about the bubble being the burst. SaaS prediction number 5. Mid-market SaaS gets massacred. M&A surges 30 to 40%. 100 plus publicly traded SaaS firms are under existential pressure. Net dollar retention drops. So basically what's happening is now this will start to affect the SaaS products. Because why? Because we can build stuff with Claude Code and some of these other tools. You don't need these SaaS products anymore. And these guys are so bloated with middle management and shareholders and, all this other stuff when you can just grab a couple of developers and use Claude Code and build a SaaS product, and you can undercut them completely. And basically create what you want, because the problem with SaaS products always has been they've never been good enough to be customized. I think even like something like WordPress is in trouble. Why use WordPress when you can build something with Claude Code to be exactly as you want it, exactly how it should look? And then if you want to update the website, you just tell Claude Code what to update, and it does it for you and makes it look nice. So like that just kind of gives you an idea. And I even heard Satya Nadella of Microsoft talk about how, SaaS is dead. Now, it doesn't mean like, all of it's gone. It's just going to be a lot of it is going to get hit. There's SaaS products that I used to use that were expensive, and they keep raising their rates. And I'm like, I'm not paying $250 for Ahrefs anymore. For what? Like, I already have API calls to Google pulling in data. I get you have more stuff, but again, even in that instance, SEO is dead and search is dead. So why do I need your stuff to help me rank or whatever? So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. So I think SaaS products will get hit, which again forces all of this correction and job loss and pressure on the economy. You get the picture. Unemployment. This one's one of my big ones. Current rate is 4.2. My call is 7 to 8% by the end of the year. Goldman Sachs says 6 to 7 displacement, 10 plus million jobs. That's great recession territory. Why? AI displacement and recession layoffs hit at the same time. Companies use AI as an excuse for their cuts they already planned. It's a double hit. So they're not seeing so first of all, so companies have the economic pressure that's going on right now, where you're having, the outside world, whether it's government cuts, whether it's tariffs, is affecting the economy, and people are spending less. So you already have that problem on top of it. And now you have AI coming in, which makes your team much more productive because they can get more done with less people. That pressure, those two pressures, then people will start laying people off. Because, and honestly, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and, and we were talking about, like, even now in companies, you can look at anybody that you work, people in your company that don't do anything. Unfortunately, that's going to need to continue in the future, but those people potentially are going to get let go because they're just going to keep the ones that can do things. If you understand AI and you're productive, I just can't see it. We're not trending in the right direction. I can think it could even be worse than this. I'm being nice at the 7 to 8% unemployment if we get real numbers, but and especially if the stock market crashes in Q2, that's going to put pressure on companies, and then they're going to start laying off, and it's just going to get a whole lot ugly. Things are going to get ugly. We're not trending in the right direction anytime soon. Prediction number 7, enterprise AI deploys in 2026, but ROI waits until 2028. So here's the thing. So this is the deployment year. And I've been with a couple companies and, work with people, talk to other people about their companies that they work for. This was the year where they were just starting to roll it out. And so I think 2026 is finally the year that all companies stop experimenting and start deploying AI, and then they start to receive those results. And then they go, oh, well, and they've already had their budget set for 2026. I think then 2027 becomes the year really big. Remember, I'm talking about 78% in 2026. We're not even getting into 27. As these models get better, the layoffs then accelerates because you have this productivity gain by people, and then you're trying to save money. You're not making money. So the best way to show your shareholder value, because really at the end of the day in our country, it's all about the shareholders, not about the American public or their health. It's basically, what Wall Street says. The 2027, you're going to get these, it's just going to get worse, because that's what they're doing to prop up their numbers, is they're laying people off so that they look good. But it's not going to matter because all the stock market stuff isn't going to matter. So, and then the ROI realization tips in, and then early adapters will dominate. And that's where, the ROI finally shows up. Technology is ready. Humans aren't. Change management takes 3 to 5 years. So the technology is there, but 3 to 5 years, I've heard that in other places where it's just going to take that adoption. But we're now in the deployment year, and it's going to take the adoption, and everything is going to cycle out. So technology is ready. Humans aren't. And I even think too, just talking to some people, even, upper management, all different kinds of things. And some people just don't even believe in AI, and they talk about AI like it was 2 years ago. And it's like, dude, it is not. It is way better than what it was before. But okay. Prediction number 8, AI implementation becomes a $50 billion industry. So they're not getting that. Gartner says death by AI legal claims will be 2,000 plus death by AI legal claims will be filed in 2026. We need AI. We need AI that works. So now basically big consultants charge $500 an hour for MBA reading documentation. The 50 to 200 person companies are totally underserved. The shift, we need AI, becomes we need AI that actually works. Practitioners win, theorists lose. That's our lane here at Pulse AI Solutions. So now what basically is going to need is these smaller organizations this is their chance to get into AI implementation and become practitioners. There's a lot of theories going on right now, but now implementation is the key for 2026. That's when things start to get interesting. That's when your small and medium-sized businesses start to look into AI and make changes. I just think that the bigger company you are, the harder it is you're going to have to adopt AI, and you're going to have small and medium-sized businesses come creeping at your door because they can do things with a smaller scale and faster. Remember, you don't need 100 people to build things anymore per se because of AI. And I think you're going to start to see that industry shift. As before they were getting nothing out of AI, they're going to start to get some stuff working when it comes to AI for 2026. So a couple of things to recap my predictions at a glance. OpenAI's future, no IPO in 2026. Apple buys them in 27. Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI are your leaders, with Grok, I think, as that third part. They could take that third part. I don't know if OpenAI is going to drop that much. AI agents, 15 to 20%, not this 40% stuff. The bubble bursts. That's the big thing for my fourth prediction in Q2 2026. SaaS starts to get hurt because, again, you can use Claude Code and some of these other things. And all these firms will be under pressure because people will start canceling the economy / they can do it themselves with Claude Code. That impacts the SaaS market. Unemployment reaches 7 to 8%. That's my prediction number 6. And then enterprises begin to deploy in 2026, but they won't see a ROI in 2027. And then AI services. So that's this kind of like Pulse AI Solutions and others. They'll start to see a $50 billion industry start to come to life as it's companies that want to implement AI, but they don't need to pay people full time. They're small, medium-sized businesses. So AI services come in and they can help these businesses kind of get started. And that industry, the AI services industry, which is Pulse AI Solutions, begins to form. Like right now, people aren't, ringing the doorbell and coming in and saying, hey, we need, your services. But I think because of everything going on, I think, they're still in the learning phase in 2025. It was just like, well, what does it do? What can you do with it? I'll play with it a little bit. Like I said, enterprises start to use it in 2026. And then this is when we're going to start to see the AI services industry where people, not your big time consultant people, paying $500 an hour. You can have smaller companies. You don't need a $500 an hour AI person to do stuff. You can use smaller, mid-sized companies to get what you need at a fraction of the cost because they're using AI. So just because they use AI, it should make things cheaper. That's what's my prediction there. And that's it. So the bottom line is 2026 is the year of reckoning. The gap between AI hype and reality closes painfully. Winners will be those who can actually implement it, not just experiment. And that's basically it. So are you ready for what's coming? Again, I'm Mark with Pulse AI Solutions. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We'll have more of this fun stuff for the 2026 and beyond. So stay tuned, and we'll see. We'll check in 6 months in and see how right or wrong I am when it comes to my 2026 predictions. Thanks for watching. God bless.